The greatest lie ever whispered into your ear was this: that love is something to be found. Every desperate text message at 2 a.m., every hollow performance on dating apps, every time you contorted yourself into someone else's idea of worthy, you were chasing a phantom. You were taught that love exists somewhere out there, in another person's approval, in their eyes saying yes to you, in their arms wrapped around your emptiness. But what if I told you that your very seeking is what keeps love at bay? What if your hunger for love is precisely what starves you of it? You have been conditioned to believe you are incomplete, that somewhere in this vast universe there exists a missing piece, a person, a validation, a moment of being chosen that will finally make you whole. This is the cruelest mythology ever sold to the human heart. The abyss you feel inside isn't proof that you need love. It's proof that you've forgotten you are love. Every time you reach outward, you declare yourself empty. Every time you seek, you affirm your own absence. This is the paradox that will shatter everything you think you know about love. Look at your relationships. Really look at them. How many were built on need rather than joy? How many were contracts of mutual rescue rather than celebrations of mutual wholeness? How many times did you mistake the temporary relief of being chosen for the permanent truth of being love itself? The very act of seeking creates the seeker, a false identity that believes itself incomplete. And the seeker, by its very nature, can never find what it's looking for, because what you seek you already are. This is not philosophy. This is the brutal mathematics of consciousness. When you divide yourself into seeker and sought, you create an equation that can never balance. You become a dog chasing its own tail, a wave searching for the ocean it has never left. From the moment you drew your first breath, they began the programming. Your parents loved you conditionally, when you were good, when you obeyed, when you made them proud. Your teachers rewarded you for performance. Your friends accepted you when you fit in. The message was carved into your soul with surgical precision. Love is earned. Love is scarce. Love is something you must deserve. And so you learn to perform. You learn to seek. You learn to make yourself smaller, more palatable, more lovable. You learn to hunt for love like a starving animal, and in that very hunting, you became less and less worthy of what you sought. The pain you feel when someone doesn't choose you, that's not love leaving. That's your ego screaming because it was never loved in the first place. It was only ever fed scraps of validation, dressed up as love. You were taught that neediness is natural, that longing is romantic, that emptiness is the human condition. But what if these were all lies designed to keep you small? What if your desperation for love is just the echo of 1,000 voices telling you that you are not enough as you are? The bitter truth. Every relationship you've entered while seeking love has been a transaction. You offered pieces of yourself in exchange for temporary affection. You became a merchant of your own soul and wondered why love felt like commerce. Think about it. When did you first learn that love could be withdrawn? When did you first discover that affection had conditions? Probably when you were 3 years old, maybe 4, when your caretaker's face changed from warm to cold because you weren't behaving correctly. That moment, that precise moment, is when you learned the most destructive lesson of your life. That love is not your birthright, but something you must earn through good behavior, through being what others wanted you to be. From that moment forward, you began the exhausting performance of seeking love. You learned to read faces for approval. You learned to modify your behavior for acceptance. You learned to betray your own nature in service of being loved. And every time you did this, every single time, you moved further away from the love you actually are. You traded your authentic self for the promise of love, not realizing that in making this trade, you were trading away the very thing that could actually love and be loved. The tragedy is not that you weren't loved enough. The tragedy is that you were taught to believe you needed to be loved at all. You were taught to see yourself as an empty cup waiting to be filled, when in reality you are the ocean pretending to be thirsty. Your romantic relationships became elaborate recreations of this original wound. You sought partners who would finally give you the unconditional love you never received as a child, not understanding that no human being can fill a void that was never actually empty. You demanded from your lovers what your parents should have given you, the recognition of your inherent worth. But your lovers, carrying their own wounds of seeking, could only give you what they thought you needed, conditional approval based on your behavior toward them. And so the cycle continued. Two seekers believing they could complete each other. Two halves hoping to make a whole. Two wounds hoping to heal each other. Two people who had forgotten they were love, trying to find love in each other's forgetting. Deepak Chopra understood what the mystics have whispered for millennia. Consciousness is not something you have, it is something you are. And love is not an emotion you feel, it is the very fabric of your being. When you seek love, you split reality in two. You create a seeker and a sought, a lover and a beloved, an empty self and a fulfilling other. But this division is an illusion. In the deepest truth, there is no separation between the one who loves and the love itself. The ancient Vedanta teaches us, Tattvam asi, thou art that. You are not separate from what you seek. The love you crave is not hiding in another person's art. It is the essence of your own consciousness recognizing itself. When Jesus said, love thy neighbor as thyself, he wasn't giving moral instruction. He was revealing metaphysical truth. There is no difference between the love you show others and the love you are. The neighbor is yourself. The beloved is yourself. The love is yourself. But you have been hypnotized into forgetting this. You have been taught to see yourself as a fragment seeking wholeness when in truth, you are wholeness pretending to be fragmented. This is why seeking love creates suffering. You are asking consciousness to find consciousness, asking love to find love, asking wholeness to find wholeness. It's like asking water to search for wetness. Chopra often spoke of the field of pure potentiality, that silent, unbounded awareness, from which all experiences arise. This field is not separate from you. It is you. And love is not something that happens in this field. Love is the field itself, recognizing its own infinite nature through the play of relationship. In quantum mechanics, we discover that the observer and the observed are inseparably connected. The act of observation changes the nature of what is observed. Similarly, in the realm of love, the lover and the beloved are not separate entities. They are one consciousness playing at duality, one love pretending to seek itself. When you understand this, really understand it, not just intellectually but in the marrow of your bones, everything changes. You realize that the love you've been seeking has been the love you've been expressing. The love you've been trying to find has been the love you've been giving. The love you've been desperate to receive has been the love you've been radiating. The ancient Sufi poets understood this mystery. Rumi wrote, "Love is the bridge between you and everything." But what he didn't say explicitly is that you are both sides of the bridge. You are the lover crossing toward the beloved, and you are the beloved waiting on the other side. You are the bridge itself. This is not mystical poetry. This is the most practical truth you will ever encounter. When you realize that seeking love is like asking your eyes to see your own face, you stop the futile search and begin the gentle recognition of what has always been present. The great spiritual teachers throughout history have pointed to this same truth with different words. Buddha called it your Buddha nature. Christ called it the kingdom of heaven within. Hindu sages called it Atman. Chopra calls it pure consciousness. But they are all pointing to the same recognition. You are what you seek. Now comes the revolution. When you stop seeking love, you become love. Not because you've given up. Not because you've grown bitter or closed your heart. But because you've remembered what you truly are. The sun doesn't seek warmth. It radiates warmth because that is its nature. The river doesn't seek to flow. It flows because flowing is what rivers do. And you don't need to seek love because love is what you are made of. This is the new virtue. To love from fullness, not from emptiness. To give because you overflow, not because you hope to receive. To be present to another not because they complete you, but because you are already complete. When you stop seeking, something miraculous happens. People are drawn to you not because you need them, but because you don't. They feel safe in your presence because you're not trying to extract anything from them. You become magnetic not through desperation, but through wholeness. The love that arises from this place is not possessive. It's liberating. It doesn't demand. It celebrates. It doesn't cling. It honors. It doesn't consume. It nourishes. You begin to love like the sun loves the earth, unconditionally, without agenda, without need for return. You love because loving is your nature, not because love will save you. This is when relationships transform from transactions into celebrations. Two whole beings choosing to dance together, not because they need to be completed, but because the dance itself is beautiful. But this transformation is not easy. It requires you to die to everything you thought you knew about love. It requires you to release the identity of the seeker. Even though seeking has become so familiar, it feels like who you are. When you first stop seeking, there is a terrifying emptiness. The mind, so accustomed to the chase, doesn't know what to do with itself. The ego, so dependent on the story of incompleteness, panics at the suggestion that you might already be whole. This is the dark night of the soul that every seeker must face. The moment when all your strategies for getting love collapse and you're left alone with the question, who am I if I'm not someone who needs love? But if you can sit with this emptiness, if you can resist the urge to immediately start seeking, again, something extraordinary happens. The emptiness reveals itself to be fullness. The absence reveals itself to be presence. The void reveals itself to be love itself, no longer disguised as need. This is when you discover that love is not an emotion at all. Emotions come and go. Love is the space in which emotions arise and pass away. Love is the awareness that remains, constant whether you're feeling happy or sad, excited or calm, connected or alone. From this place, you begin to love without attachment to outcome. You love not because you hope to be loved back, but because love is what you are. You love not to get something, but to give something. You love not to be completed, but to express your completeness. Your relationships begin to reflect this new understanding. Instead of seeking partners who will fill your emptiness, you attract partners who celebrate your fullness. Instead of relationships based on mutual need, you create relationships based on mutual joy. You stop asking, what can this person give me? And start asking, what can I offer from the abundance of what I am? You stop looking for someone to complete you and start looking for someone to share completeness with. This doesn't mean you become isolated or self-sufficient in a cold way. Quite the opposite. You become more intimately connected with others than ever before because you're no longer relating to them through the filter of your own need. You can see them clearly, love them purely, and meet them fully because you're not trying to get anything from them. But even this understanding must die. Even the identity of being love must be released. For in the deepest silence, there is no lover and no love. There is only the space in which all love appears and disappears. The mystics knew this secret. To truly love, you must be willing to lose everything, even love itself. You must be willing to die to every concept of who you are, including the concept of being a loving person. In the depths of meditation, in the heart of silence, even the most beautiful spiritual identities dissolve. The one who loves, the one who is love, the one who embodies love. All of these melt into the vast emptiness that is fuller than fullness. This is the ultimate maturity, to know that even your highest realization is temporary. Even your deepest truth must be held lightly. Even your greatest love must be surrendered again and again. The river must sometimes disappear into the ocean to remember its source. The flame must sometimes be extinguished to recall the eternal fire from which it came. And you must sometimes retreat into the silence beyond love to touch the source from which all love springs. This is not spiritual bypassing. This is spiritual mastery. To know when to engage and when to withdraw. When to love actively and when to rest in the love that needs nothing. In these moments of sacred emptiness, you are reborn. Not as someone who seeks love, not even as someone who is love, but as the very consciousness in which all seeking and being arise and pass away. This phase is the most challenging of all. Just when you've learned to stop seeking love and started being love, life asks you to release even this beautiful identity. Just when you've found peace in knowing you are love, you must let go of knowing anything at all. The ego resists this dissolution with everything it has. But I've worked so hard to stop seeking, it protests. I've finally learned that I am love. Surely this is the end of the journey. But the journey has only just begun. The recognition that you are love is still a subtle form of seeking to maintain a spiritual identity, seeking to hold on to a beautiful realization, seeking to be someone special in the eyes of consciousness itself. True love, the love that Chopra points to in his deepest teachings, is beyond all identity, even spiritual identity. It is the love that exists before the lover and after the beloved. It is the love that remains when all concepts of love have been exhausted. This is why the great sages often appeared ordinary. They had transcended even the need to appear loving or spiritual or enlightened. They had died so completely to all identity that love could live through them without obstruction. In this silence, you discover that love is not something you are. Love is what remains when you are not. Love is not an attribute of consciousness. Love is what consciousness rests in when it forgets itself. This silence is not empty. It is pregnant with infinite possibility. It is the womb from which all love is born and to which all love returns. It is the source that never seeks because it lacks nothing, the fullness that never overflows because it has no boundaries. From this silence, when you emerge, and you will emerge because consciousness loves to play, you love with a different quality. You love not as someone who has learned to be love, but as love itself, temporarily wearing the costume of a human being. Your love becomes impersonal, and yet more intimate than ever, universal and yet completely present to the particular, boundless, and yet focused like a laser beam on whatever is before you. This is the love that heals without trying to heal, that teaches without trying to teach, that transforms without trying to transform. This is the love that is so full it can afford to be completely empty, so present it can afford to be completely absent. The invitation stands before you now, like a doorway made of light. You can continue seeking love in all the old places, in validation, in approval, in another person's salvation of your emptiness. You can keep performing for scraps of affection, keep hunting for someone to complete you, keep believing the lie that love is scarce and must be earned. Or you can remember what you truly are. You can stop seeking and start being. You can cease the frantic search and begin the gentle recognition. You can quit trying to become worthy of love and simply acknowledge that you are love itself, temporarily forgetting its own nature. If these words have touched something true in you, if you feel the recognition stirring in your chest, then write this commitment in the comments below. I choose to remember that I am love. Let these words be your anchor. Let them remind you when the old patterns of seeking arise. Let them call you back to the truth of what you are when the world tries to convince you that you are less. The path is not about finding love. It's about removing everything that blocks the love you already are. It's about dissolving the illusion of separation that makes seeking necessary. And in those moments when you forget, when the old hunger returns, when you catch yourself reaching for love, outside yourself, simply pause, return to the silence. Remember the sun that never seeks light, the river that never seeks to flow. You are not broken and in need of love. You are love itself, temporarily dreaming that you are broken. The seeking ends not when you find what you're looking for, but when you remember you never lost it in the first place. But remember, this remembering is not a destination, it is a practice. Every day you will forget, every day you will remember. Every day you will die to who you thought you were and be reborn as what you actually are. This is the rhythm of awakening. Forgetting and remembering, seeking and finding, losing yourself and coming home. Not once, but thousands of times until the coming home becomes so natural you realize you never actually left. And someday, perhaps today, perhaps in a decade, perhaps in the last moment of your life. You will remember so completely that forgetting becomes impossible. You will become love so thoroughly that seeking becomes obsolete. You will rest so deeply in what you are that the question of love will never arise again. Until then, practice. Practice stopping mid-seek and asking, "Who is the one who seeks?" Practice pausing mid-hunger and inquiring, "What is already here that needs nothing?" Practice dying mid-story and discovering, "What remains when the storyteller disappears?" This is Chopra's gift to you, not another story about love, but the invitation to discover the love that exists before all stories. Not another concept to believe, but the recognition of what you've always known but somehow forgot. The revolution begins now, not in changing your circumstances, but in remembering what you are beneath all circumstances. Not in finding better love, but in being the love that needs no improvement. Write those words. Make that commitment. And then close your eyes and rest in the silence where seeking has never been born and love has never been lost. You are that silence. You are that love. You are that which you have spent your whole life seeking. Welcome home.